Today we're doing a 3-round NFL mock draft. I'm drafting as the NFC, and we're going to try and break the draft again. We're trying to make these drafts a little bit different. We're trying to think outside the box, so some picks might be a little bit odd as I'm picking different players from last time. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're getting you ready for the NFL draft. We're helping you for your dynasty rookie drafts, your fantasy drafts, and everything else. Click that button, stop missing out, but we got to dig in here. We got to dig in hard, because we got 3 rounds. It's going to be a little bit longer. Remember, I'm drafting only for the NFC, and we're going to start the draft right now. Let's see what the quarterbacks do. Abdul Carter and Cam Ward come off the board. Cam Ward to the Titans. They need a quarterback. Abdul Carter to the Browns. Giants are on the clock, and I want to see if Shedeur Sanders is going to fall. And I have Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter as my top 2 players. I'm pulling Travis Hunter. I like him a lot. Patriots are on the clock. They draft a tackle from Missouri, Mbabu, and he has been jumping the board. Ashton, Jeanty to the Jaguars. I don't see that very likely, but a possibility, I guess. Mason Graham, interior defensive line to the Raiders. A smart pick there. Shedeur Sanders is falling. He's falling. He fell last time. That's why I wanted to make the pick. I did a mock draft a few days ago, a 7-rounder. And I was drafting for just the NFC South for all 7 rounds, and he fell. I wanted to see what was up with these rankings, or if that was just a weird thing that happened. Mason Graham to the Raiders. They get a stout defensive lineman. Jets go edge. They got Justin Fields, Michael Williams coming off the board. I'm drafting for the Panthers. Defensive line DB. That's what we're looking at here. Malachi Starks is there. Jay Campbell. James Pierce. Mike Green. We got some good edge rushers in this class right here. Looking at what's available here. If you're looking at defensive back, Jeanty Barron. He's been climbing the board here for PFF. That's one thing you can say. I like Will Johnson a lot. He's fallen in the rankings for some reason. I'm making that pick. Saints are up, and that is me. And wide receiver is a position of need, and for some people, T-Mac is the #1 guy. And we got length, we got size. He's been productive, good breakout age. Usually goes around this part of the board mock draft. Sometimes falls, but he's going to the Saints. Bears are on the clock, and that's me. And I'm running to the podium here to draft Will Campbell. I'm running to the podium here just to get another lineman. We could go running back. And we've been adding to the offensive line. It's not a huge need. But I want talent. I want youth. I want to make sure Caleb Williams stays upright. Another thing I could do here to make things different. Let's do that. Let's go Tyler Warren. I'm not really sold on Cole Kmet. I think Will Campbell, though, is a tackle you can't pass on. I think he falls to you at 6. You just make that pick. And you make it work. That's what we're doing here. Like, I can't just sit here on my hands and be like, I'm passing on him. That's what my gut says. We'll just make it work. That's the talent. Niners are on the clock here. They like to go offensive line. You know, I've mocked them here a few times. We got Josh Simmons. Looking at what else is on the board here. Jeanty Barron. James Pierce is there. Mike Green. There's some talent here. Kelvin Banks. I imagine this is a good trade back scenario. Imagine for these guys. Guard, tackle, defensive line. Very stuck here. I want to go Josh Simmons. I think he has potential to be drafted pretty high. I think we're going with him to the Niners. Cowboys. Ashton Jeanty's off. Marin Hampton's there. It's really hard to go anywhere else. Wide receiver. Luther Burden. Edge is available. You got James Pierce. Mike Green's there. I like both those picks. Both those players. We all know I like James Pierce. You can go James Pierce and patch up the other positions later. There we go. Wide receiver. You know what's going to happen. And then Nick and Mawari falls. Tyler Warren goes to the Colts like he does in almost every mock draft. That's a good ad for them team-wise. Fantasy-wise. There's a lot of competition for targets for him. Falcons are on the clock. DB, linebacker. I think G.I. Campbell just seems like a pick here for them. Or Mike Green coming down. Mike Green coming off the board is a huge get. I can't let him just sit there. So there we go. Cardinals are now on the clock. We're looking at what's available here. Guard, defensive line. We're looking at Kenneth Grant, but we got some ballers here. We got some ballers left. Let's go. Kenneth Grant to the Cardinals. Just getting that stud player. Bengals are drafting J.R. Campbell. Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. And it's time to pull a trigger on our dude. Tyler Booker, come on down. You want to get the best interior offensive lineman, you do it early. You do it early. Just help that offensive line out. Bucks are on the clock. Edge rusher, we got Donnie E. He's been climbing the board. He's been climbing the board. That's a good fit. Malachi Starks is falling. Jahdae Barron's falling. We got some options here. Donnie E., come on down. Broncos are up. Let's see what they do. I bet Mika Igbukwe comes off. No, Jahdae Barron to the Broncos. That defense keeps getting nasty. Shamar Stewart to the Steelers. Mika Igbukwe to the Chargers. They're getting hot at wide receiver. And now we got the Green Bay Packers. And the perfect ad here for this team is Luther Burden. He did well at the Combines, had a good career, former 5-star recruit. They're looking to add to wide receiver. I think that's the play that we're going to have to make. The Vikings are on the clock here. Defensive line, we got Derek Harmon. We got some dudes here. Looking at corner, nobody really high up. I like a Marion Hampton in this spot. I think the running back needs to come off the board. Texans draft Matthew Golden. There's a high probability of that happening. Fantasy drafts, he's going to rise value. Rams are up. Tight end, tackle, linebacker. Kelvin Banks is there. That might be the investment you want for the long term. You also got Colston Loveland. I think both of those would be great picks for the Rams here. And we're going to go Kelvin Banks. Because the tackles are going to drop off. It's a deep tight end class. You can moneyball that a little bit. Walter Nolan to the Ravens. He's been climbing boards all off season long. Now we're looking at the Detroit Lions. And guard, center, edge, linebacker. So what can we look at here? Edge, linebacker. Jalen Walker's right there from Georgia. Could we reach on that? Nick Squirton's there. He was ranked a lot higher earlier. Edge or linebacker. We also got a safety look at us right in the face. Like falling. Like, is this the time you just take the value? Like, I know some people watch these mock drafts and they're looking for starters just to plug in. That's really not how rookies kind of work. It's just not how NFL works in general. Like, if a guy falls to you, you just take it. And that's what's been happening. None of the other teams have been taking Malachi Starks here. I think it might be time just to make the pick. I think we're going to do that right now. We're just going to take the talent. Draft talent, get need later. Commanders are on the clock here. Wide receiver, that's zapped up. Tackle, that's getting zapped up. This is an interesting spot on the board right now. We got Gray Zabel. Sometimes he goes this early in the draft. Sometimes he falls off the board. I think edge-wise, did I just pass an edge? Nick Squirton has been a guy I've looked at for a bit. I've looked at him in some drafts. Coming down, Xavier Watts, Trey Amos. I feel like it's a little earlier. I feel like teams are not feeling him as much when I'm looking at this draft pick. I think we're just going to fill the position of need here and go Greg Zabel. I think we're just going to do that for the Commanders. And the Bills are up. And they selected Jalen Walker. Chiefs go Derek Harmon. So both of them go defense. Both of them building up that defense, staying nasty. Eagles are on the clock here. We got some talent falling to them. And we're looking at position of needs here. Wide receiver's not likely. You can go Alec Aomanor if you want. That's a good route runner. Edge, Nick Scorton. That would be a solid get for them per PFF. I think cornerback is a little bit of a reach, and you can probably reach into other rounds. I think if you're chasing talent over need, you go Colston Loveland. And if I think you do that, and you look at contracts and ability to use two tight ends, be multi-dimensional, and then later on down the road, he'll be your main tight end, I think that might work out for you. I think that's something you may want to do. You got Nick Scorton right there, solid player. Let's just roll with him. Let's see what happens. Browns are on the clock. We're in the second round. They go Shedeur Sanders. This is where he went in my last mock draft. This is where he went. There's something up with PFF and the rankings where they're down on Shedeur Sanders. There's something going on with that. I go to the mock draft database, and he's fell from number 2 on average overall to 4. This has been weird. This is back-to-back drafts he fell, and I want to see how far he would fall. And I had the NFC where most of my teams did not need a quarterback. He goes to the Browns in the second round. Giants are on the clock here. We're looking at some dudes here that could help us. Josh Connerly is on the board. He's kind of like in that second to third tier of tackles. And this team needs offensive linemen. Remember last pick, we drafted Travis Hunter. We're going to go Josh Connerly. Titans are up. They are going to select Thomas from Florida State. Remember him getting lit up at the Senior Bowl a few times on some routes. Colston Loveland goes to the Jaguars. That's a good fit right there. Jackson Dart to the Raiders in the second round. A few of my drafts, he fell. A few rounds later, Maxwell Harrison has been rising boards to the Patriots. Bears are on the clock. That is me. My last pick is Will Campbell. Now I'm on the clock here. Who am I going to pick? Running back, center guard. So we've got to look at the edges first. Tyleik Williams is there. I like Tyleik Williams a lot. Edge is pretty much like dying out, but I can also, like, I bet you I can get my running back in the next pick. But I do like Prince down here. Landon Jackson's there as well. Trey Amos is still there. I like Xavier Watts. There's some guys I like. Shamar Turner. There's some guys I like. There's some ballers here. Demetrius Knight has fallen. I don't really need him, but he's a player to add because of the talent. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's what gets in your head. It's not just fits. It's like, man, the talent fell to me. Talent fell to me. Let's go Demetrius Knight. See what happens. Saints are on the clock. I guess I dictate what happens. Our last pick was T-Mac. Highly unlikely we go another wide receiver. Tight end is a position of need. Defensive line is there. Darius Alexander versus TJ Sanders. I like them both. Tyleik Williams. Let's just go with what PFF recommends here. And now the Bears are on the clock. Interior offensive line is a huge position of need here. However, when we look at that, we got a ways away. We got a ways away before we worry about the computer messing with us. Edge is kind of plentiful, but we already went linebacker. Edge, let's still roll with that. I like Landon Jackson. I like Princely. Let's go with Landon Jackson. Second round edge rusher. Jets are on the clock. They go Tyleik Williams. I like him a lot. Niners are up. Our last pick, we picked my boy Josh Simmons. I like him. I like him. I jumped up and got him. Defensive line, TJ Sanders is there. Let's pull the trigger. I like TJ Sanders. Cowboys are up. Last pick was James Pierce. Let's go back to the running back well here. Quinshawn Judkins to the Dallas Cowboys. Come on down. Colts are up. They go Jack Betch. And now I'm up with the Falcons. Wide receiver, they say, is a position of need. Alec Ayomanor's there. Cornerback, Trey Amos is one of my dudes. Ayomanor's a guy that would pair nicely with Drake London on the other side. Those two would go together good. Those two would go together good. Cornerback, Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Ravel there. Let's go Ayomanor to the Falcons. Let's make this offense sexy still. Cardinals are up. Guard, tackle, defensive line. Like I said, interior offensive line, you can wait a little bit before the computer messes with you. But defensive line, we're looking here. Shamar Turner, come on down. Going to the Cardinals. Dolphins are up. Jaden Higgins. Tall, wide receiver who can make plays. Donovan Jackson to the Bengals. Seattle is on the clock here. Edge, linebacker. Princely, come on down to the Seattle Seahawks. I like him. I've been drafting him a little bit earlier than this spot. Xavier Watts to the Broncos. Trey Amos to Steelers. Some of my favorite picks are coming off the board. And with the Bucks, our last pick was Donnie E. And Ravel's going to the Bucks. I like him. He's one of my last cornerbacks that I like to draft. Packers are up. Cornerback edge. What we at? Luther Burden was our last pick. Edge, the one from Ohio State. They do like Buckeyes historically, so that's what we're rolling with. Chargers are up. Restrepo, I don't think that's a great pick for them. Trevion Henderson to the Bills. They've made that pick before in another mock draft, and I think that's a great fit for them. Panthers are up. We just cut Miles Sanders. We did not renegotiate his contract. We got Chuba Hubbard. We do not know what's going on with Brooks. Do we burn a second rounder on a running back? We can wait on running back. We can't keep throwing draft capital at that. We do need defensive line. Alfred Collins, he's been a riser, so we're going to roll with that. Texans are up. Carson Swizinger from UCLA. Ravens, go Jack Sawyer. Lions are on the clock here. I don't want to double up on positions. Malachi Starks, because we took the talent. We need an edge. Brady Swinson, come on down to the Detroit Lions. The Commanders are up. I think we went tackle last pick. We went Gray Zabel. We kind of did a reach, but he's pretty stout. Plus, in the back end of the first round, you're not really drafting starters, more like high-end second rounders. Now we're still looking at what's here. Wide receiver, something I don't want to reach for. So let's go with Darren Porter from Iowa State. Get a cornerback, fill a position of need while getting some talent. Trey Harris, wide receiver to the Bills. I like him. Some size, did well at the combine. Joshua Farmer to the Chiefs. Back to Trey Harris. I think that's a good fit. He has a good ADOT, double digits. I think 13 last year will fit well with Josh Allen. I think people are going to like him a lot if he goes in that spot. Eagles are up. We drafted Nick Scorton. However, we got another tight end looking at us with a lot of talent. Elijah Arroyo. Everybody was high on him after the combine. We went Nick Scorton, edge rusher, our first round. We got edges looking at us. And this is a team that can take value. This is a team that can take some value. Benjamin Morrison's there. I'm going to tell you what, that's one of my favorite players. That's one of my favorite players in the draft. He keeps falling. He keeps bothering me. That's what we're rolling with. To the Eagles. Giants are up. That's me. For our first few picks, we're in the third round now. Tackle, cornerback, and I'm looking at what's there. Defensive back's an interesting spot here. That's something we may just roll with later. The farther I roll down, the less defensive backs and corners I'm seeing. I think it's time. Let's go Cam Scatterboo. Let's go get a 1-2 punch at running back. We're not going to be good at quarterback. Might as well. Chiefs go tackle. Browns go defensive line. Raiders go Caleb Johnson. They get the workhorse from Iowa. Jalen Noel goes to the Patriots. Jaguars go Kyle Kennard, which is a tremendous value. Saints are on the clock. They need a tight end. They're getting their Jimmy Graham. They're getting Elijah Arroyo. This is a huge one. That's a huge get for the Saints. That was a huge pick. Bears are on the clock. Who have we drafted so far? Will Campbell, Demetrius Knight, Landon Jackson. Meat and potatoes so far. We got to get our sexy back here. Running backs are coming off the board here. For the Bears, who would I like? Honestly, in this spot, DJ Giddens. Going to the Bears. We should start a running back run here soon. I like DJ Giddens. Twitched up, catches the ball in the backfield. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Jets go edge. Panthers are on the clock here. We're going to go defensive line or edge or DB, whatever's available. Jordan Burch is there. You got some tackles. Chris Paul's still available. RJ Harvey's coming up. Jordan Phillips, come on down to the Panthers. Niners are up. Our picks, Josh Simmons, TJ Sanders. And I think we can go interior offensive line and feel okay about it now. And I think it's time to do that. And we're going Tate Ratledge. We're adding more depth to the inside of the offensive line. Cowboys are up. So far, we're sexy. Quinshon Judkins, James Pierce. It doesn't work out like that for the Cowboys. Usually doesn't. But we need offensive line too, right? I don't think we're going to fill that void anytime soon. Cameron Williams is there. We drafted him before a lot earlier. Let's pull that trigger. There we are. Patriots are on the clock. Jared Ivey. Cardinals are up. Guard, tackle, defensive line. We went defensive line twice, so we got to steer away from that. Ozzy Trapilo's there from Boston College. Come on down to the Cardinals. Commanders are up. Tackle, cornerback. Meat and potatoes so far. We need wide receiver. What's there at wide receiver? Jalen Royals, Tez Johnson, Isaiah Bond. Do we go upside with Isaiah Bond, or we go with Jalen Royals, who's been rather solid at Utah State? You tell me what you want to do. Isaiah Bond's got a lot of upside. That could be the sexy pick right here. Going down, what's all else there? It's dried up. It's dried up. Who's more likely to win me my league? Who's more likely to set me above the rest? Isaiah Bond. Shooting for that upside. 4.39 speed. Colts are up. Dylan Sampson to the Colts. That's a good addition. Jordan Birch. Colts getting young at running back, getting more talent there, and plus we've had injuries there as well. Seattle's on the clock. Tyler Booker. Princely came off the board. Looking good. Meat and potatoes draft so far. Elijah Roberts is there. Kevin Winston Jr. is there. Let's go back to looking at the guards. It's time. Like I said earlier, we're going to wait. Jared Wilson, Willie Lampkin. This is when we can do it. This is when Iowa guard. Let's go Jared Wilson. Let's go get us a pick from the SEC. Jalen Milroe goes to the Steelers. I don't know about that. Bucks. 84 overall on the clock. We have selected Donnie E. and Siobhan. Meat and potatoes draft so far. I don't think it's time to get a little bit sexy. Mason Taylor's there. Terrence Ferguson is there. Let's get Chris Paul. I think that's a good fit. I think that's a good fit for the defense. Let's see what the Broncos do. Sebastian Castro, they're building that defense. It's already nasty. I don't think they need it, but they're building it. Elijah Roberts, edge to the Chargers. I'm up with the Packers. Luther Burden, edge from Ohio State here. And let's go inside offensive line. That's a area to look at this part of the draft. Willie Lampkin. We got Kendra, Seth McLaughlin. I think that's a possibility. RJ Harvey. We had injuries at running back last year, kind of slowed down. We're kind of in a weird spot of the draft where we can make this run. We drafted Luther Burden. You can always add offensive line. We're in the middle of the draft, so just good talent in the offensive line is always good to move guys around when contracts happen too. Always good to happen. We're stacked at tight end. Kind of forgot about that while I was looking. I think Kevin Winston, just adding more talent. DBs are always good to have, and you can move them around and everything. Marcus Mbo, Texans, Terrence Ferguson, getting an upgrade there. I like Ferguson a lot. He's been a riser for me these last few days. Rams are on the clock. Now it's time to get Mason Taylor. We got to add a tight end here. Ravens are up. Jalen Royals, a big get for them. That's a tremendous value. I like him a lot. Very sticky hands, create separation. Seattle's on the clock here. Booker, Princely, Jared Wilson. Can't go running back. We're stout at running back. Offensive line here. We're pretty studly here at tackle. Wyatt Williams, one of my guys. I'd take him in the second, honestly. I think they're too low on him, and I'm going to prove it right here with this pick. Saints are up, and I think we want wide receiver and tight end. Yeah, and defensive line. What else can we add? RJ Harvey to the Saints. Alvin Kamara's older. They hate Kendre Miller. That makes sense. Anthony Belton to the Browns. Savion Williams to the Chiefs. Everybody's loving that pick. Who fell to the Eagles? We got Ed Scorton, Nick Scorton, edge. Benjamin Morrison, cornerback from Notre Dame. And we can really do whatever we want. That's the thing about the Eagles. We can really do whatever we want. Everybody's going to love our picks. That's the thing about this. It's the Eagles. Talent falls to them. Interior offensive line. Looking at centers. Looking at guards. Connor Colby, come on down. Just getting a grader. Vikings are on the clock. We just drafted Marion Hampton. We need a guard. We need defensive line. Defensive line's not super plentiful right now. We got Deion Walker. We got some edges. We got some talent here I like. We got some dudes. Will Howard sitting there. Not doing that. Not doing that. That'd be funny. Let's go into your offensive line. Let's get Lampkin. Let's get a road grader for a new running back. Charles Grant to the Dolphins. Hopefully we can keep 2 upright. Niners are up. We have drafted tackle, defensive line, and guard. Meat and potatoes draft so far. Devin Neal's looking at us. I know we got Christian McCaffrey. We need a contingency plan. I like what we have back behind him. Maybe we can wait a little longer. There's also some good picks here. Defensive line. Deion Walker. We've been looking at him. I have not drafted him yet this year, but we are now. Going to the Niners. Rams are up. We've had some sexy picks here. Mason Taylor, Kelvin Banks. Tackles, linebackers, Jeffrey Brassa. Going to the Rams. And this is the final pick in the 3rd round, I believe. So this should be our last one. Who are we going to draft? There's Harold Fannin. We've previously picked an edge and a safety. We don't want to go too... Jacob Parrish is a guy I've been drafting. I like him. Dorian Strong is there. Don't want to go safety again. Dorian Strong, come on down to the Detroit Lions. That's it with the 3-round mock draft. Let me know what you think with the picks. Let me know how much you hated this team that I drafted for you. Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.